Hello. We've got a couple new blog posts, both about the different items that are going to be in Deceit 2. So I wanted to go over them a little bit, talk a little bit about the new items that they're bringing in and why they're bringing in those items. We have this first blog post posted a week ago. I didn't think it was large enough to make a whole video about it, but I'm combining both blog posts into one. One part is their goals section and one part is the items themselves. So here they explained that Deceit, the inspiration for it, came from games like Mafia, Werewolf, other social deduction games back then, before the Forbidden game. And yeah, they wanted to make something new, something different, and that was achieved when they made Deceit, a first-person social deduction game with shooter elements, something never seen before. So yeah, and they say that the items in the game help people interact with the world and with each other. Each item has a specific use that fulfills an interaction, and each interaction helps move the game forwards. We do get a picture here. There are some of the new items here. I will talk about that when I start talking about the second blog post. But yeah, their ethos towards the design shifted when they started making Deceit 2. The concept's easy to think about, but they wanted to rethink how items worked and how items were distributed, as they're taking a more sandbox approach. It's very interesting. So they got excited about both an initial roster of items and then more future expansion upon those items, and how you would obtain them. You don't always need a certain item. Some items might be super helpful. They started discussing what would be the most fun, which is how you want to be playing Deceit anyway, having fun. So yeah, they did change the way how getting items, instead of going to an objective that has a specific item in it, you will be able to do objectives and then take the souls from those and then trade them in at the peddler, and he will give you an item of your choosing. They also say the world of Deceit has changed too, as there's a nature of the occult and supernatural, and that means items don't have to be grounded in the real world. There doesn't have to just be flashlights and cameras. All of the supernatural influence in the game, they can make a lot more items that don't have to make a lot of sense in the real world, but are a lot of fun. Which I think is a good decision. It doesn't always have to make complete sense. I mean, it's a game where your friends turn into monsters in the night and are trying to execute you, so it doesn't have to be the most realistic. But yeah, they're not going to go crazy with it. They're still going to make sure that it makes sense, both design-wise and thematic-wise, but they have a lot more room with more interesting ideas now that the world has changed, going from Deceit 1 to Deceit 2. So yeah, now that this blog post was released today, as of recording, and it speaks more on what exactly the items are that are going to be in Deceit 2. I assume they will be making more and more items that'll get released over time. First up, this section, Deduction items. There's going to be things that you use to figure out who's infected, or maybe they hide the truth of who infected is. I mean, the core of Deceit is social deduction, so it makes sense to have multiple different deduction items to help you figure out who the monster is. First up, we've got a clipboard. You'll be given a list of traits that you can cross-reference with other players' clipboards to deduce who shares enough traits to be infected. So you can see it right here. These are the clipboards that they're using, and you've got the players, and you'll have different traits beside each players. You'll be able to say like Priya and Hans have this trait, and this infected has this trait. And then you'll ask your friends what kind of other traits the other players have to try and figure out which ones align with the infected, and with enough information you can make a good decision on who you think it is. You don't have to just strictly catch someone offering blood. You can try to work together to get to the same conclusion. Of course, infecteds also can get clipboards and they can lie about what the traits are, which is going to skew the information. So you'll want to keep track of that. Try to think about what information might be incorrect. There's also a CCTV tablet so that you can monitor other players. This is going to mean that there's going to be cameras on the map that you can use the tablet to look at. Not sure exactly how this will work, if it has like charges or like a certain amount that you can use it. But yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to watch, like, see who's hanging out together, see who's near blood altars, try to catch someone offering, that sort of thing. There's also a blood alarm. This is something that is kind of in Deceit 1. This is going to be catching infected offering blood. You can place the blood alarm on the offering, and whenever an infected offers blood, it'll alarm you. In Deceit 1, there's an item upgrade that you can use, I think it's the red-handed tracker, and you put it on a blood bag, and whoever drinks that blood bag gets instantly tracked. By the wording here, I don't think it's exactly like that. I think that it notifies you of the altar. I don't think it tracks the person because it's not called a blood tracker anymore. They've also got some new utility items. These are some of the most fun sounding items that are getting added. And you know, they don't make complete real world sense, but they don't have to, it's a game. First one, they added handcuffs. Those are pretty self-explanatory. You put it on someone, they can't interact with stuff, they can't use their hands. There's also a ball and chain which you can put on people, which is gonna make it so that they can't really walk. And I think that's just hilarious. They also are adding an invisibility cloak, which is also insane. So yeah, it says here if you're getting like chased, you can stop and put on an invisibility cloak of some kind, and then you won't be able to get seen. I'll be interested in seeing how that works in game because it sounds a little bit OP, but we'll see. There might be a cooldown, there might be a certain amount you can stay in it for. We won't know until we get to see gameplay of it. It also says you can hide in sight by donning the mask, which allows you to appear as any other character. Again, super fun item. Seems like it might be kind of OP. You can transform into another person, but with it being a game with a voice chat, if your voice doesn't match up with the character you're playing as, or two of the same characters show up in the same spot, you're kind of going to be outed. They're also adding a smoke grenade, pretty self-explanatory, makes a smoke cloud. Or the return pad, which is kind of like a teleporter. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but it says it'll transport you back to a designated place on the map if you're choosing. So I'd assume you place it somewhere like off in a corner, and then if you're in trouble, you activate something and you get teleported back there. But yeah, super interesting items that are going to be really fun to play with. Next up we got combat items. So we got the classic pistol. You don't start with it anymore like in Deceit 1. Still gotta buy it. But yeah, you'll be able to shoot people, you'll be able to cast your vote on them with that. Though you can still use melee for that. They're also adding knuckle dusters. You know, things you put on your hands. I would assume this would work just like the knife in Deceit 1. Though it may be a little bit different. We don't get a lot of information. Of course, we've got the torch and the camera. Self-explanatory, they provide light, and terrorists don't like light. You'll be able to flash them in the eyes and blind them, and then you can make an escape. You're not really meant to fight them, you're just meant to stun and run away and hide. Things like that. Finally, you can pick up a sanity serum. It says to keep you on your toes and make it harder for the terrorists to catch you. I'm not sure exactly what this means, it isn't completely clear, but seems like it's going to give you a buff of some sort that'll help you in the nighttime. We will have to see. You know, all these items sound super fun. And they also added a lot more and took a lot more different approaches to items than in Deceit 1. And I'm super excited about that. Yeah, these are just some of the items that they're implementing, so they might still have more on release than they say here. The peddler is always on the lookout for more things to add to their shop, which is most likely going to mean that they're going to keep adding new, different types of items as the game goes on. They want everything to have a purpose, and they want players to have a choice of the kind of game they want to play. And I think it's really cool how you're not just specifically, you gotta pick a light item, or you gotta pick a shotgun or antidote. You can actually choose exactly what you want by doing whatever objective. But yeah, they should be releasing a few more blog posts. They also said on one of them that they will be showing the release date off for the game soon. So that's super exciting news. When those next blog posts come out, I'll be making videos on them, as well as any other new information that we get. So stay tuned for all that. But for now, hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for watching.